And the man who holds the World Championship and the European Championship, we saw a terrific race at Ipswich in the summer when Mick Duffy Collard, the driver of car 19, took the World Championship. Today he's put up the fastest time in practice and he starts right on the front of the grid. And the man who is going to have to do battle with, right alongside him, is 351 Barry Lee, former world champion. He's won most of the top honours in the sport, and he's up there alongside Duffy Collard to do battle for this English championship today. One man, a past favourite perhaps, who's come back to racing in quite a big way now, coming on to form. He's on the third row of the grid, and that's the man driving car number 306, George Polly. George has been around for a long time. He's won many of the big titles in the sport. And there he is, that car on the outside there, 306, as the starting marshal takes them round on this warming up lap. There's 30 laps to come, round the bottom bend. As they come off the turn and over the line, the starting marshal will send them away for the Burton and Car Colours English Championship. And straight into the lead, number 19, Mick Duffy Collard. And right behind him, number 351, Barry Lee. Next in the line is the 87 car of John Stone. But this, I think, is where the scrap is going to be. It was between these two at Ipswich in the summer, and it's obviously going to be between these two today. Fractions of a second separated them on the lap trials that determined the grid positions. There's the first two. There's the rest of the bunch following them through. Most of these drivers are the top-grade drivers. And with just 3 laps gone, these are the two that are going to count here. 19, Mick Collard. 351, Barry Lee. Into third place now, it's 401, Leon Smith. Right behind him, 306 is George Polly. Then comes 87, John Stone. Tucked in behind, 923 is Kenny Cook. Really, the field not becoming too spread out. Mick Collard's opened up only about 10 yards ahead of Barry Lee. There's Mick Collard. And Barry Lee just behind him, still keeping well in touch. 401, Leon Smith is their third. 306, George Polly, still well in touch in the fourth place. Then 87, John Stone. Then 923, Kenny Cook. 61, Gordon Barber comes next. Then 14, Colin Facey. Then there's the former European champion, 128, Pete Whitstone. And now the leader's beginning to catch some of the slower backmarker cars. Leaders catching up with the tailmen, and of course this can be the chance for the cars further back to take an advantage on the leader if he gets held up. Past the slower 24 car of Ray Sellers goes Mick Collard. That gold roof on the car signifying that he's the world champion. The silver stripe across the roof signifying that he's the national points champion. Scored more points so far this season than any other driver. Barry Lee is still there. In second place, 401 Leon Smith, just off his bumper. They know they can't afford to let drivers of the calibre of Collard and Lee get away from them. 63 Mini of Ricky Butler being passed. Now it's the 44 car of Frank Howes who's next to be overtaken by Mick Collard. Beautifully dry track here at Wimbledon this afternoon. Plenty of grip, and they really are motoring. Down these dry straights, they're pushing on 60 to 70 miles an hour, going into these bends. And Duffy Collard looking for the line on the outside. He hasn't got time to hang about and wait for the slower backmarker car to move over, so he has to go around on the outside. Here he is, off the pit turn, coming through now to complete 12 laps. It's still 19, Mick Collard the leader, 351, Barry Lee is second, 401, Leon Smith is third, 306, George Polly is fourth. Then comes the 87 car of John Stone. Mick Collard taking an inside line this time. Beginning to open out a little bit more of a line. There's the second place man, 351. There's 401. There's George Polly. Those four now opened out about a 20-yard lead on the rest of the field. That Collard car handling handling beautifully. Mick Collard really been on form very much lately. Immaculately turned out motor. Barry Lee still trying to keep in touch. This is the battle for second and third, and indeed fourth. 351, Barry Lee on the inside. 401, Leon Smith sitting right on his tail, looking for a chance to go through, and 306, George Polly a little way back. Leon Smith looking really as if Barry Lee gives him half a chance, he'll have his nose poked up on the inside and be through. There's the leader just going through. That's a back marker. The leader passing two more as he goes down that back straight. Into the pit turn once again. The laps ticking away. 18 laps gone now in this 30-lap event. And it's still Mick Collard comfortably there. But there's a lot of back marker cars. He's coming up very shortly behind a very big bunch of cars, and this could be the chance for the others now to close up. Further back, 306 George Polly now moved ahead of 351 Barry Lee. There's 351 Barry Lee. It's 401 Leon Smith, who's making all the running in second place. 306 George Polly behind him, and down to fourth place is 351 Barry Lee, all taking evasive action as the 41 car of Paul Farnish sits in the middle. Barry Lee has to take very much evasive action right out onto the inside, onto the figure of 8 circuit. Takes a bit of a shortcut. I don't know what the steward's going to say about that as he rejoins, but he's lost a lot of ground now, and that must really put him very much out of the reckoning. So with 23 laps gone and 7 more to go, that man is still in the lead. Number 19, Mick Collard, with 306 George Polly right on his tail. Well, George Polly packed up racing, then he came back driving super rods, then he came back into hot rods. He's been putting up 1 or 2 good performances throughout the season, and then in the last few weeks he's really come onto form, and now we're seeing a very strong challenge indeed. There's just 5 more laps to go now, and the scrap is not going to be between Barry Lee and Duffy Collard after all, and there is George Polly really putting the pressure on. He wants to let Duffy Collard know that he's there. Hanging right onto his boot lid. He can't afford now to give an inch. And the Duffy Collard boot lid is flapping as the securing brackets have come undone. Been keeping out wide. He knows with a driver of the calibre of George Polly, you can't afford to give him any room. You can't afford to give him a chance at all. And that's 3 more laps to go. Right there, whether that's pushing or not, I don't know, but they're getting very, very tight indeed. 19 Mick Collard, 306, then we've got a back marker behind the pair of them, and then 401 Leon Smith is third, and there's a long gap. The rest of them are out of it, to all intents and purposes. That was 2 more laps to go. Now, can 306 George Polly get past Duffy Collard, or is Duffy going to add yet another title to the world and European titles he already holds? Through they come once again, just 1 more lap to go now. That's the signal from the starting marshal, and this is where George Polly's got to make his move. It's now or never. He's got to try and get past. Down the back straight and into the final turn. The back marker's going to stop George trying to go around on the outside. His only hope is a gap on the inside, but he's not going to get that chance as they go over the line. It's number 19, Mick Collard, who now becomes the English champion. 306, George Polly, a great race, but he just couldn't quite get there. 401, Leon Smith came home in 3rd place. 351, Barry Lee, after those mishaps earlier, finished 4th. And then the field tailed away with 9-2-3 and 61. But it's 19, Mick Collard, who is the new English champion.